Okay, everybody, let's take a few parts off here and see what we can come up with. The new cover on these things are held on with little M6 bolts. How about that? And all that still looks pretty standard, except for the starter setup, which runs off of the clutch gear. And we'll finish taking this off. It uses a standard M8 by 1.25 volts. Little hydraulic clutch. Boy, has very, very little movement. Wow. Those are probably not worth the crap. But let's keep going and see what we got. Everything else so far looks like standard chinadoll bottom ends here. Yeah, the really old blue, white, and black wires. Typical old crap. Standard chinadoll 66 cc. Says LD80 on it, so it is what it is. Little carburetor, little tiny carburetor, held on with, there again, looks like little M6 bolts. I think they call these pulse carbs, something like that. Very small carb. Wow. Intake really, really tiny. I can just barely get my pinky in there. Oh, wow. Well, like everybody says, it is what it is. Let's see if this is what holds the starter in. Which I bet it is, the little tiny screws. If not, we're taking the starter apart. I'm actually putting one of these on a bike right now. Just waiting for the battery and the battery bag to get here. And then we'll see what it does. Yeah, I just took the starter apart. Of course I did. That's okay. I've done this before too, so it ain't that big a deal. Not that big a deal. I put brushes and bushings in these before, but as you can see, it's just a little standard 12-volt battery. I mean, the starter. Ain't no big deal. Okay, those are the ones we needed to take out. Well, live and learn, I guess, huh? I guess that's the phrase. But I'm anxious to see how, yeah, that's turning it loose. Okay, there's the starter setup. Kind of a Mickey Mouse way of doing things here. Sure is. Bet this has got the, I'm wondering if it's got the little round hole or if it's got the rectangular one. It's got the rectangular one. Yep, there you can see standard size intake. They just modified the little intake piece for the little tiny Mickey Mouse carburetor they put on it, which is going to be very restrictive on this little engine. Yep, going to be very restrictive. Wow, that's got to be one of the tightest cylinders I've ever come across. Well, we're going to probably run in the head gasket. I wonder if the studs are messed up on this. It's why it won't come off. Probably. Well, we'll take that off on part 2. But I wanted everyone to see how this kind of a Mickey Mouse setup was put together. That's the throttle on the side. I've seen these on some very small 4-stroke engines before, lawnmowers and what have you. It's even got the little pump finger primer so you can prime the fuel. All of this is made into the right half of the case half, and as you can see, this is the same old castings from all the others, but yet this is even a different color because it's a brand new mold that they just started making these out of. So I don't know if you remember or not, but I've told you in the past that they just throw these halves in big bins or barrels or boxes and send them down the assembly line, and they're grabbing one from this box and one from that box and throwing them together and calling that a matched case. Well, there's your prime example. You can see the two different types of the patterns in the metal even are different. So they're still using the same old left-hand case, but now they're putting this newfangled one that came out of a fresh mold onto this one to make another engine out of it. But I'm curious as to why this cylinder is being so hard to take off. That's kind of unusual for a regular chinadoll, unless we're dealing with some, hopefully just bent studs. I hope there's not an issue with the way this thing was built, but it wouldn't surprise me none. We'll take 2 out and see if that relieves any pressure, which hopefully it does. Yeah, okay, so more than likely we've got a bent stud here, and just a typical G4 cylinder, same as all the other chinadolls. Same high pin piston, and let's see, they come with a ZL40, so they're not doing anything different at all on the bottom end, guys. Just this half of the case has been redesigned so that they can mount the same little starter that goes on the front up in here on that BT100 electric start engine. That's the same starter setup. This is going to be a major killer. Look at the size of that hole. I do have big fingers, but still, that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. See, there's quite a bit of difference in sizes. Not so much there, but that's really cutting down the flow. And wow, yeah, really small carburetor. But apparently we're dealing with just a stock ZL40 bottom end high pin setup, GT setup. Doesn't have the PK80 piston. At least they put it in right. How about that? Other than that, everything else is pretty much the same. No sense in tearing this apart because everybody's seen the insides of one of these. This was the concern here, and personally I think it's going to be a very weak dud of an engine, but that'll be up to some of you guys. I may not, I don't know, we'll see. I don't know how much farther with one of these I'm going to go, but I've got two of them here, so I'm going to have to do something with the two I've got. I don't know what yet, but this is a major, I mean major restriction on any engine. When you cut fuel and airflow down to that, that's just totally ridiculous. And with that setup, with that starter in there, there's no way in the world you can go bigger without finding some kind of an intake. And I have a pretty good idea where I can find one. I'm going to do some research on that and see if I can't come up with a some kind of a Melosi or a Pooch intake, right angle intake that will make this thing run like a real engine. Okay guys, I'm going to stop for now. It's getting like 102 in here, so I'm shutting it down for a while. See y'all later.